All right. So Barkley said that it's a false narrative that PG is criticized more than others. Now, the internet is a harsh place. It is not going to be easy on anyone. It criticizes LeBron, MJ. It criticizes the two best players in basketball history, LeBron and MJ. Those are the two most criticized people on the internet. At least from my experience. I don't know. Wasn't there a list or something of the most criticized? I think LeBron and MJ are two of the most. There are a lot of players that shouldn't be criticized as much as they are. I think there was a thing that said LeBron is the most hated player. That in every did it? Oh, what did it say? How many states did he get? All right, so hold on. He had 24 states, so they hated LeBron the most. 18 states said they hated Kyrie the most. And then Paul George had a small portion. Paul George had one portion in Arizona and Phoenix. And for some reason, I don't know why they hate him, but they do. And around California hates Durant, Yeah, PG has one state. There are players a lot more hated than LeBron James. Or than Paul George. But, it's... it criticizes a lot of people. And I try to be careful with that. I try not to criticize anyone too much. Try to be fair. It's not easy, though. It's not easy to be fair towards everyone. You have to have some criticism for some people. But, it's a harsh place on the internet. No one is safe. No matter how good you are, no one is safe. Alright. Greg Olson said that tight ends are underpaid as a group in the NFL. Now, it wasn't for a while. Then it became more used and more valuable. Kellen Winslow and Tony Gonzalez, those were two, outliers those were two outliers back in the day. Now there's a lot of Kellen Winslows and Tony Gonzalez's that block and catch. That was one of Greg Olson's points. We do the blocking of an offensive lineman that gets $10 million, and the catching of our receiver that gets $15 million. So they should be getting more money, and that's true. But like I said, they're more valuable now. They weren't as valuable. They're not normally this valuable, But they should be paid a little more, but it's definitely become a lot more valuable at a position. It was not, I don't remember it ever being this valuable. So Pro Football Focus ranked the top 10 quarterbacks of the going into the 21-21 season. 10 Lamar Jackson, 9 Baker Mayfield, 8 Kirk Cousins, alright, whatever. 7 Matt Ryan, 6 Dak Prescott, 5 Josh Allen, 4 Russell Wilson, 3 Aaron Rodgers, 2 Tom Brady, 1 Patrick Mahomes. Now, this always happens. In every decade, when you look at every decade, there's always 3 quarterbacks that dominate and 2 quarterbacks worth mentioning. Each decade is dominated by 3 quarterbacks, and there's 2 guys worth mentioning. The 70s, Bradshaw, Ken Stabler. This is in no order, by the way. Ken Stabler, Roger Staubach. Those were the guys that dominated it. Staubach, Stabler, and Bradshaw. The Raiders, Steelers, and Cowboys. Quickly, and the two guys worth mentioning were Bob Greasy and Fran Tarkenton in the 70s. Then, in the 80s, the three guys that dominated that, I'll probably go with... So, obviously, Montana. He won the 4 rings in that decade. He was the best quarterback there. I'd say Montana, Elway, and Theismann were lighting it up in the 80s. And the two guys worth mentioning were Marino, who was with the Dolphins, who were falling off and were no longer as good as they were in the 70s, and Dan Fouts of the Chargers. So that decade was dominated by Montana, Elway, and Theismann, and then Fouts and Marino. Okay. Then the 90s were dominated by Elway, Jim Kelly, and Troy Aikman. And the two guys worth mentioning were Brett Favre and Steve Young. Those two guys came in later. Brett Favre and Steve Young became relevant later in the 90s. But Aikman, Elway, and Jim Kelly were the guys that dominated in the 90s. Alright, and the 2000s, they were dominated by Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. Those were the guys that dominated the 2000s. And then the two guys worth mentioning... Actually, no. Hold on. The 2000s were dominated by Favre, Brady, and Manning. And then the two guys worth mentioning were Kurt Warner and Brett Favre. And then the 2010s. They were dominated by Brady, Wilson, and Rodgers. Those were the guys that dominated the 2010s. And then Breeze was kind of aging, and Peyton Manning was older, but he made it work. So those were the guys that dominated each decade. So, like every decade, it's 3 guys that dominated it and 2 guys that are coming up and that they're worth mentioning. 2 guys that just came into the league right now. Like the 2020s are going to be dominated. I'm going to try to make a prediction right now by Mahomes. They're going to be dominated by Mahomes. I'm going to say Mahomes, Allen, and I would have said Deshaun Watson, but he is... I don't know how that situation is going to end. But I'm going to say... Yeah. I'm going to say Mahomes, Allen... I'm gonna say Mahomes, Allen, Lamar dominate it. They're gonna dominate the 2010s or 2020s. My bad. And then the 2 guys worth mentioning. I'm gonna go with Trevor Lawrence and I'm actually, you know who I'm going to say? I'm going to say Trey Lance. I think he's going to come up late in the 2020s. I'm going to say Trey Lance and actually Fields. So I'm going to say Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar dominate. Because I don't know how it's going to end. And even if Deshaun Watson comes back, he's going to take a while. So I don't even know if he's going to dominate it. So I'm going to say Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes dominate it. Then... Fields and Lance come up in the last second. Okay. So 80 said that he will not switch numbers again because he wants to have number 3 hanging in the rafters. Okay. So, before you do that, you're going to have to play half the season. Because, gonna have to be a little healthier. I think I told you guys how many injuries he has, right? He has, 18 injuries already, and he's only 28, And as a big, when you get injured early, you're not gonna you're not going to just play the rest of your career without any injuries. Like, Embiid's going to keep getting hurt a bit. He might not get hurt as much as AD did, but he'll get hurt because he got hurt early, Alright. So, Dwayne Wade, who has part ownership, of the Jazz, is seriously concerned about Donovan Mitchell staying in Utah. Now, with Mitchell, I don't know where else you'd want to go. This honestly reminds me of it's a better version of the 01 Sixers. Because the 01 Sixers, I'm going to read you off some of the awards they won. Ready? MVP was Iverson. Dikembe Mutombo won Defensive Player of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year was Aaron Mickey. And Most Improved Player, okay, that was Tracy McGrady. So, they had the sixth man, they had the defensive player, and they had the MVP. Sorry. The Jazz, earlier in the season, they had Coach of the Year locked up, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year. Oh, my bad. And the Sixers had Coach of the Year. So the only Sixers had Coach of the Year, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. Utah, they have a great coach who was one Coach of the Year before, I believe. A 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Bogdanovich, a good role player, and a Sixth Man of the Year. They are stacked. I'd say just get a wing. All you need is a wing. But that's all they gotta get. Get a wing to defend LeBron and Kawhi and all those players. Because Kawhi took you guys to school. Kawhi, honestly, he didn't decline a player option, I think, this year. But John Collins wouldn't be a bad addition for you guys. Just get a wing to defend LeBron or, Kawhi and all those guys, because that's all you really need. I just read off what you have. A Sixth Man of the Year, a great coach, a great young player in Donovan Mitchell, a Sixth Man of the Year. Just get a wing, and you will have a much better team. It'll be a whole game changer. All right, so Tim Hardaway is staying at Memphis. And he will not be joining the Magic. Now, what I love about Penny Hardaway is there's very few players that are good. There are very few great players that are good coaches. Normally it's just like you're a great player and then you try to coach and you just you're just not good at it, Magic had a tough time coaching the Lakers, and Larry Bird had one good year in '98, and he had a good record. Actually, Larry Bird didn't do that bad. He was not a very good executive, but a lot of NBA players aren't very good coaches.